Part 8. Mephilis versus Metal Sonic. Point goes to Sonic Boom. Well, why? Well, let's compare these two hedgehog-like beings. At first glance, Mephilis seems like the better villain. His suite of powers is mostly better than Metal's, mainly because he started off as a black slime monster who was one of the two beings that came out of the Solaris lamp when Elise's dad blew it up. And years after Shadow seals him in the Scepter of Darkness, he breaks out of it and then takes on Shadow's form. And, other than having no mouth, it's pretty good. Later we see that he can also fly, shoot energy, and copy himself almost infinitely. And if that was it, then he would have won the point for best hedgehog-like enemy. But he has one power that not only messes him up, but also causes a lot of problems with the story. And that power is his ability to travel through time. This ruins him as a good villain, because with this power he could easily win against Sonic and friends, but he waits until near the end of the game to do it. He wastes so much time having Silver and Blaze come back in time with him to kill Sonic, and then when he finally decides to do it himself, they don't even have him talk to Sonic. And Mephilis is all about talk. Like when he and Shadow meet, usually before a boss fight, he goes on and on about how Shadow should join him to get revenge on the humans because they will lock him up. Of course, our emo Black Hedgehog already made his choice of who he should beat up in the game that came before, Shadow the Hedgehog, and it wasn't humans. So after all this time, all the time Mephilis wastes sweet talking Shadow, we get his boss fight. We get his boss fights. And they're actually pretty good. The first one takes place 200 years in the future. And Mephilis starts off by cloaking and copying himself. All Shadow can do is to fight the copies until his power gauge fills up. Once it does, he can go Super Saiyan, and then that will expose the real Mephilis, and then Shadow can only attack him for a bit. And then the process starts all over again. After a few rounds, Mephilis will shoot an energy blast at Shadow. This will cause him to smash against the stalagmite. This turns the tide of the fight. But before Mephilis can take advantage of this moment, a blast of machine gun fire hits the ground between them. This announces future Omega, the robot's arrival. And then you get to play as him. All you have to do is jump and then attack while in the air, and the fight will end soon. The second fight takes place near the end of Shadow's story. After another talk, Mephilis melts into a black lake and makes large one-eyed monsters come out of in different places around it. As Shadow, you must avoid the lasers they shoot and smash them in their eyes when the time is right. Eventually, the fight will end, and Shadow will try to trap the hedgehog-like being in the Scepter of Darkness like he did when it first came out of the Solaris lamp. Unfortunately, Mephilis breaks out of it. It says that he is stronger than he was back then. Then Shadow takes off his inhibitor rings and goes Super Saiyan once again. Then he, Rouge, and Omega charge toward Mephilis and his clones in slow motion, and then it fades to black and the credits roll. Unfortunately, Metal Sonic got the short end of the stick when it came to moments like this. Yes, he is intimidating in all the scenes he's in, but his boss fight is the worst in the game. Once again, we have the hardware to blame here. Now, I know what people are going to say. Hero, we know you hate the Wii U, but remember all the frame rate issues in that boss fight? Well, I do remember them, and I also remember that the frame rate issues are a hardware problem. Have you seen any gaming PC build videos lately? You have to have good hardware to get a decent frame rate on some games. Now, I am not saying that the Wii U's hardware is bad, except for the gamepad, but I heard that Big Red Button had to downgrade the game for it to work on the Wii U, and even that was not enough. And the part of the game that got the worst of these frame rate issues were the speed sections. And that's what makes this Metal's boss fight the worst, because it takes place on the longest speed section in the game. Sonic and friends are running along a bridge that must go in a circle or something because it just goes on, and every now and then Metal will shoot an energy blast at the ground. And you will have to avoid it so you won't get hurt. And while that won't always work, it will take more than 2 hits to kill Sonic. So it's still better than the Mach speed sections in Sonic 06. Anyway, after a while, he switches to bombs, and then you have to make whoever you are controlling knock them back at him for damage. After enough hits, Metal will blast a section of the road, and that will send Sonic and friends into the air. They will flail around and then right themselves and then hit the ground running. The first time I saw this, I said, "Whoa, Sonic and friends are having adventures just like the old days." But then it kept happening, and eventually it became like a Michael Bay explosion. Still cool, but very repetitive. Anyway, after each airborne scene, Metal will shoot energy blasts that are harder to avoid, and then he will shoot bombs, and the process starts all over again. Eventually, you will knock out the last bit of Metal's health, and he will smash it to the track, flop around on the ground, and then, after coming to a stop, You will see his red Terminator-like eye flicker and then die. And Sonic and friends will get the Chaos Emerald, the Crystal Emerald that he was carrying. Yes, that boss fight was not very good, but Metal still gets the point for best Hedgehog-like being. Because while Mephilis couldn't do more, he was more talk than walk. Metal, on the other hand, can also fly, shoot energy blasts, and doesn't talk at all. And when Eggman busts him out, you know he means business. And that is the end of this part. Next time, we will compare the worlds of these games take place in, and we'll see if Sonic Boom can continue its winning streak. Until then, check me out on YouTube and DeviantArt.